playoffs. But let's get this all started with the top NFL insider, Adam Schefter. Mahomes starting for Alex Smith and the Chiefs this week. Is this his audition to be the Chiefs starter next year, Adam?
Diana, before anybody gets carried away, this is exactly what this is, where the Chiefs know that they have what they believe is a special quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. They want to give him some experience because next year the belief is it's going to be his team, that during the offseason, Kansas City is going to trade Alex Smith. This is not an audition for the postseason. This is not giving Patrick Mahomes playing time now to get him ready for the Baltimore Ravens wild card game, if that is in fact the matchup in the opening round of the playoffs. This is to rest Alex Smith, to make sure he's healthy entering the postseason, and to get their quarterback of the future, Patrick Mahomes, some added experience for 2018 and beyond. That's what this story is. But let's keep in mind, the Chiefs love Patrick Mahomes. And as successful as Deshaun Watson was early in this year, as much as the Bears liked Mitchell Trubisky, I think there was no team that was more impressed with its quarterback than the Chiefs were with Patrick Mahomes, and this will give everybody a chance to glimpse what he can do on Sunday when Mahomes makes his first NFL start against the Denver Broncos.
All right, Shefty, good clarity there. Stay right there because we're going to go back to you, Adam, in just about 5 minutes. Hello, everybody. Welcome into NFL Live. We've got three-time Super Bowl champ Teddy Bruschi here on the desk. We got insider Josina Anderson right next to me, along with some of our top reporters around the country that are going to join the show in just a little bit. Let's begin, though, with the New York state of mind. Concrete jungle is where dreams are made of. A lot of nightmares, though. See Big Blue, for example. Pro Bowl safety Landon Collins let loose on Eli Apple during an ESPN appearance on the radio in New York when asked what changes should be made to the Giants secondary next year. Take a listen to what he had to say.
There's only just one corner that has to establish. He needs to grow up, and we all know who that is. That'd be the only person I would change out of our secondary group. Besides the other two guys, DRC and Jack Rabbit, I love those two guys. They play hard. They love what they do. But that first pick, I don't think he's a cancer.
Well, we now know he's certainly talking about Eli Apple there in those comments. So a few hours have gone by since this all went down, about 12 to 15 hours, and here's the tweet. Just a couple minutes ago, I met with Coach Spags and Eli this morning, that being Eli Apple, and I apologize for the things I said yesterday. I never stopped supporting my brother teammate Eli and the rest of my teammates as we move forward. Just want him to know I'm always here for him. So certainly has different words today. Meantime, 2017, oh boy, for the Big Blue, it has been drama-filled, starting in the Week 5 loss to the Chargers. Of course, Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Marshall both suffered season-ending ankle injuries. Then in October, the Giants had discipline issues with the secondaries. Their corners both suspended for violations of team rules. Then, head coach Ben McAdoo opted to do the unthinkable. Bench Eli Manning for Geno Smith, snapping Manning's streak of 210 consecutive starts. That was the second longest by a quarterback in history. And shortly after that, the team fired head coach Ben McAdoo and GM Jerry Reese. McAdoo's firing marked the first in-season coaching change for the New York Giants since 1976. So our Josina Anderson has been in touch with Landon Collins over the last few hours. So Josina, what else can you share with us?
Well, I mean, this morning when I spoke to him, I was trying to get further perspective on the interview that he had with ESPN New York. And I wanted to see if he was kind of going to stick by those comments initially. And he basically told me that he feels like at that point that Eli Apple had checked out. He talked about the game this past Sunday and said there were times when it was made aware to him that Eli Apple was on the sidelines, sitting down, not being engaged, not standing up, not participating. And he was saying that's not what we need on this defense. We need everybody, no matter what the record is, to be fully involved, fully trying to give their best, just like he is. Obviously, he's been named a Pro Bowler, and he's a leader, and he knows that his comments resonate. And I even said to him, do you not mitigate that feeling knowing some of the personal stuff that Eli Apple is going through, especially with his mom having the brain surgery and all the things that have been put out recently in that NJ.com article about some of the family strife that is, you know, obviously their personal business and things like that. And at that point, he was saying no, because he had reached a point of loss of patience. This is a discussion that has not just been happening the last few weeks, not this season. This is a discussion that has been happening since Eli Apple came on the team, feeling like he needs to let go of certain relationships in that circle so his focus can be on his professional matters. Now, obviously, since then, he's put out that tweet. And part of what was our conversation, Teddy, was, you know, listen, everybody is not perfect. And even though, Landon, you were able to overcome certain adversity in your own situation, which, again, is his private business, okay, that doesn't mean that everybody overcomes that and perseveres through that at the same rate. So I'm not shocked to now see, even based on that part of our conversation, that he has now come out and put this on Twitter, that he apologizes because, lastly, it goes, I think, with the tone that Landon is trying to set in that locker room. When Ben McAdoo was fired, he said, I don't speak bad on my coaches. I don't speak bad on my teammates. That is the persona of who he is and what he's also trying to project now. He is not perfect. He can get mad, too. You see what I'm saying? And things can get on his nerves. But, you know, he apologized, and that's good for him.
Teddy, what was your first reaction when you heard his comments?
My first reaction was hearing the word cancer is pretty bad. It's almost like calling another player soft. There's certain terms that really strike a chord with players in the locker room, and cancer is definitely one of them because it's implying that what you are doing or the way that you are acting is affecting other people. It is spreading to other people, and they're not liking what's happening. So what I'll say this is about football players, especially when you're current football players on a team, you're not patient people. You're not very patient. When a problem needs to be fixed, you aren't doing the right thing in cover two. You need to fix it immediately before you see that very same play again. Something happens in a various other situation. You're not getting your workouts in. You get told it's addressed. You need to fix it right away. When a leader like a Landon Collins comes up to a player like a Eli Apple maybe and tries to mentor him, let's say, or tries to help him with his problems, that captain, that leader, then would expect for those problems to eventually show improvement. And you try again, and you try again. When you see the same thing over and over again, you get irritated.
So you think this was his final straw, Justina? You think at this point, Landon's like, there's nothing else that's going to change Eli Apple, so I'm going to talk about it publicly?
I definitely think he was at that point as of this morning.
Yeah.
For sure, because I asked him about it. I said, even if he changes himself, if he evolves in the offseason, will you give him another chance to show that improvement? And I think at that point, that's where he was. But he's since had some time to think about it. But I also think it's important to say that this is not just Landon Collins making these comments. I mean, I got some text, not going to say from whom this morning, again, talking about Eli saying, not a pro in many ways, problems with character, work ethic, practice habits, does not love the game, has to go.
Yep.
And this is not even from Landon, but I think it's important not to pile up also on Eli, because I want to say this, as someone's been in the locker room, talked to Eli, he's always been respectful. He's always, talked to me when I've needed to talk to him. And so I do believe that he has the ability to grow. It's just a tough situation. He's a first rounder. There's a lot of pressure. I think he still deserves another chance to try to show himself.
Jojo, you're right, because I will say this. There are certain positions and certain skill groups that you really have to give patience to also. I said football players aren't patient, but coaches will be when you're a quarterback or, say, a pass rusher, a great pass rusher, or a cover corner. Cornerbacks don't grow on trees. Good cornerbacks don't grow on trees. Now, however, it isn't good when you hear someone say he doesn't love the game. Can this be remedied? This is important for the next head coach of the New York Giants.
And general manager.
Yeah, and general manager. To come in, you got a lot of drama going on in that locker room. And I think the first thing, it wouldn't be who you're going to draft or who you're bringing in as a free agent. It's, can you fix your own locker room? That's what you have to consider.
Can I say this? Can you imagine if, and we were just talking about this in the green room, if Dave Gettleman ends up being the GM? This guy had no patience for Josh Norman, got rid of him. Or if Louis Riddick ends up being the GM, we know how Louis Riddick is about his business. So Eli really has to understand that his job is possibly on the line. He's got to get it together first for himself, then his family, and then his teammates.
And I'll say good move by the Landon in terms of the apology.
Putting it out there.
That's the Landon I know.
I think that's great, because it's the first step if Eli Apple is to turn the corner and start playing good football again.
Well, we're talking about an Eli that we don't know if he'll be on the team this year or at least next season, depending on who they decide to hire as a GM or a coach. But there's also another Eli, of course, in that locker room who hasn't been able to avoid the drama either. And that, of course, being Eli Manning. All the problems this season. And here's what he said recently. He said he still wants to play for the New York Giants. He said he's up for competition because he knows that's probably what's going to happen. Take a listen to what the 37-year-old had to say.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anyone does. Obviously, there'll be some changes next year. New GM. You don't know who the head coach is going to be and what's going to happen there. I still feel strong and excited about each week of preparing and playing and making plays and competing on Sundays. So I think I still have good football in me. I don't want to stop playing football. This is all I want to do. I don't have a backup plan. I don't have something I'm looking forward to doing when this is done. This is what I love to do. I love playing football. I love playing quarterback, and I want to continue to do it for the Giants. This is the only team I've ever wanted to play for, and I don't want to change, but I do understand how this season has gone, and with new people coming in, that if they want to make a change, then we'll go down that road.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like Eli Manning wants to be Eli the mentor just yet. Our NFL insider Adam Schefter joining us now. Adam, it sounds odd hearing Eli Manning competing for a job, but what are the chances that Eli is even around for the job?
Well, I think they're pretty good right now, Diane. I think that the Giants' best course of action right now would be to go take a quarterback at the top of the draft. And I think everybody believes that they're going to do that. They're going to start building for the future with the new GM and the new head coach, where they can go get a quarterback that they can identify, whether that's Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold or Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield or whoever they decide on at the number 2 spot. And in a perfect world, who better to teach that young quarterback the ins and outs of playing that position, dealing with New York, than Eli Manning? And so I think you've heard him say it. He wants to come back and play. He wants to come back and play for the Giants. And the Giants might be able to get a couple of years out of him where he's in that position as a mentor and a figure that the new young rookie quarterback can look up to. And so I don't think that this is the end of Eli Manning in New York by any stretch of the imagination. I think he could be in a perfect spot to finish off his career as a Giant and help train his successor for the future.
And you heard Adam say the Giants with that number 2 and number 3 pick in the 2018 draft. Adam, we'll get back to you in just a few. Still to come right here, though, on NFL Live. James Harrison, now a Patriot, just in time for the playoffs, too. What kind of impact will he have in New England? We're going to discuss all this, and we're going to go live out to Foxborough. And later, Chargers' Melvin Ingram joins us as the Bolts make one last push for the playoffs. Stick around. We'll be right back, guys.
Just really struck fear in quarterback's eyes. You can see it.
What was your reaction to him signing with the Patriots?
You know what? James has to do what James has to do. I didn't. It's not like he called and asked me if he should or not. James was out there as a free agent. He's going to do what he needs to do, what's best for his family. And like I said, I wish him the best. I've had a lot of good years with him.
Do you get concerned about players that leave sharing information? Does that worry teams?
You know what? We went to Cleveland. I think the first time I played Cleveland, I think Sammy Coates had just got picked up by them. That was obviously a big concern of ours, knowing our offense. That's on James. If they want to ask him every single piece of information he has, then that's what this league. I guess other people do that too. So I'm not worried about it. We don't play them this week. We don't play them next week. So we'll see.
Now, Roethlisberger wasn't thinking about Harrison intel to the Patriots until his wife brought up last night. How much of the no-huddle offense does James know? Roethlisberger told her he might know a few little details, but he doesn't know the major package, so we have to be ready to play regardless against him and the Patriots. And as one player told me, look, they know all our secrets. We know theirs. It's all about execution.
All right, Jeremy Fowler, thank you so much for that report. So back here in studio, Teddy, you heard what Mike Reese was reporting, what he saw out there. What's your reaction to that?
Right. Well, Mike Reese talks about setting the edge in the running game. I think he's right about that, because if you remember the season opener versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and Kareem Hunt ran wild on them, and it was getting a pitch from Alex Smith and going all the way outside. It looked the same 2 weeks ago. Kenyon Drake, Miami Dolphins. They're having the same problems they had in the beginning of the year that they have right now. When you recognize that, if you're a member of the Patriots coaching staff, I've been in that locker room, it absolutely drives them crazy that you're trying to fix a problem with whatever player you have, but it's the same thing over and over again. So you go out and get a James Harrison. That's where he can help. He will set the edge. He will keep his lane discipline, forcing the run back to the middle. And in the pass rush game, sure, he can rush the passers still. They need pocket push. They may have to go through quarterbacks like Joe Flacco, then Ben Roethlisberger, possibly in the AFC Championship game. Harrison knows all of those quarterbacks about getting to them, the offensive lineman, pass rushing, situational. He won't be an every down player. He just doesn't have that in him anymore. But on a personal side to this sign, it's strange.
Yeah.
To me, it is strange. Seeing that selfie with Tom Brady, I almost want to say duck
This is the only time you've seen him smile.
It's like he's usually coming to get Tom, you know. So if there was anyone that defined this Steeler-Patriot rivalry back when I was playing even too, it was Harrison. I mean, his intensity on the field, him trying to get to Brady, all the battles he had with the offensive line, and now he's a Patriot. That is strange to me.
What do you
it's
think,
weird. I can't believe it to see him out there in that Patriot helmet. It's like you got a double take, but he wants to win. The Patriots can definitely use him, and here we go.
You think Brady's uncomfortable there? Like, you think he's thinking this is weird too?
I think he's relishing that he's on his team now. But
I think he first made sure. Did you sign the contract?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this picture because.
But listen, you know, the Patriots lead in opposing quarterbacks' time, you know, before pass at 2.5 and also time before total time in terms of pass. So you understand why he's going to help this team. But at the same time, you know, he's bringing that alpha stick because he's still Debo. And we talked a lot about alpha defenses right in the NFL, like, you know, the old Terrell Suggs and E. Reed and all those boys. So he's bringing that swag stick, even though he's not the old, you know, from James Harrison from 2008 Defensive Player of the Year doing 16 sacks. He's still he's bringing that presence, you know, that silverback presence. You know?
He is.
I know we laugh at Bill Belichick's press conference when he's like, we're playing the Jets, how's this help? I do think it's a little presumptuous of people thinking that the Patriots picked him up to get intel. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Very little. Very little. It's the problem of not being able to get to the passer and set the edge in the running game. That's where they need the help, definitely.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right, so with his role diminishing as the weeks go on, Broncos running back Jamal Charles said Tuesday that he'd like the team to release him so he could play for a contending team. Charles signed a one-year deal with Denver back in May and turned 31 years old today. All right, we got 7 teams down, 25 to go. We're going to touch on all 32 teams today. We got news, we got analysis. We're going to keep you posted, and perhaps your favorite team, maybe the helmet's still left up there.
The Chiefs love Patrick Mahomes, and as successful as Deshaun Watson was earlier in this year, as much as the Bears liked Mitchell Trubisky, I think there was no team that was more impressed with its quarterback than the Chiefs were with Patrick Mahomes, and this will give everybody a chance to glimpse what he can do on Sunday when Mahomes makes his first NFL start against the Denver Broncos.
All right, Shefty, good clarity there. Stay right there because we're going to go back to you, Adam, in just about 5 minutes. Hello, everybody.
Kansas City is going to trade Alex Smith. This is not an audition for the postseason. This is not giving Patrick Mahomes playing time now to get him ready for the Baltimore Ravens wild card game, if that is in fact a matchup in the opening round of the playoffs. This is to rest Alex Smith, to make sure he's healthy entering the postseason, and to get their quarterback of the future, Patrick Mahomes, some added experience for 2018 and beyond. That's what this story is. But let's keep in mind
playoffs. But let's get this all started with the top NFL insider, Adam Schefter. Mahomes starting for Alex Smith and the Chiefs this week. Is this his audition to be the Chiefs starter next year, Adam?
Diana, before anybody gets carried away, this is exactly what this is, where the Chiefs know that they have what they believe is a special quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. They want to give him some experience because next year the belief is it's going to be his team, that during the offseason.
Welcome into NFL Live. We got 3-time Super Bowl champ Teddy Bruschi here on the desk. We got insider Josina Anderson right next to me, along with some of our top reporters around the country that are going to join the show in just a little bit. Let's begin, though, with the New York state of mind. Concrete jungle is where dreams are made of. A lot of nightmares, though. See Big Blue, for example. Pro Bowl safety Landon Collins let loose on Eli Apple during an ESPN appearance on the radio in New York when asked what changes should be made to the Giants secondary next year. Take a listen to what he had to say.
There's only just one corner that has to establish. He needs to grow up, and we all know who that is. I'd be the only person I would change out of our secondary group. Besides the other two guys, DRC and Jack Rabbit, I love those two guys. They play hard. They love what they do. But